All right, y'all. So I am back with a list. Okay. I'm going to share with you all, free game, what I learned my first time trying to rent out my property. Well, renting out my property because I didn't try, I did. And I have 15 things on this list, so I hope y'all enjoy. All right, so the first thing I learned, I wrote down vet your tenant like your life depends on it. And it doesn't matter how long it takes for you to vet the tenant, meaning verifying all the information they provided you was correct. Take the time to do it because when I ended up renting out my home, I rented it to one person, but and I met that person, and I don't think that person is the person that ever moved in because I would never see them there. And the person who was posting Facebook pictures at the property was like a whole totally different person. So, that that's going to be number one. People can still kind of like scam, use other people's name, use other people's information, different stuff like that. But the more time you take to figure this out and like really dig through their application, the better off you'll be in the long run. Yeah. hmm Because I was rushing to move out. I just was trying to get to Houston. I'm finally in Houston. I'm happy. I was trying to get away from spring, which spring is charming. It's just that I am a city girl. I grew up in the city of St. Louis, Missouri. And so I'm just not used to being out in a suburban life and then by myself and the children. It felt very isolating driving an hour to get like anywhere. Once I stopped working out there, then it was just like time to go. So, number one, vet. Okay. Yes, you will notice that I am playing with different filters on this video. It's fun. Okay. Number two, I am not the owner. I am the property manager. Because once they think they know the owner, then they just feel like, oh, this is just a nice young girl that I can get over on. Mind you, I was 35. Now I'm 36. I'm in my mid-30s. I have 3 children. I'm not really just out here playing around. But when they feel like they know the owner, or they know, a little bit about your background, then they try to get personal in a manipulative way wherein they're giving you excuses as to why they can't pay. Oh, this person passed away. Oh, this month the hurricane happened. Oh, this month I had some visitors. I don't know. I was just getting the most random excuses for like why the rent was not being paid. It did not make sense. And yeah. Be the property manager so that you can always be like, oh, well, the owner said. So, okay, you know my story, but somebody else, a higher power, so to speak, told me that this is what has to happen, how it needs to happen. So then they can't really use you against you. All right, number 3. So the tenant that I did end up getting, they did not want to leave. They never wanted to leave. They wanted to stay there long term for years and years and years, probably until like their children graduated from like high school type stuff. Okay, that's cool and all. But had they made it to the end of their lease, they would have been able to give me a 30-day notice to let me know to start looking for another tenant. Well, as I just told y'all, number one, vet. You probably need a little more time than that to sift through those applications and verify all the information because you're working and stuff too. Well, I know I am. So, number 3 is give yourself 90 days to find a new tenant. So that means that the current tenant has to give you 90 days notice that they are leaving. And you as a tenant, me as a tenant, I know if I'm moving or not 9 times out of 10, 90 days ahead of time. That's not being unreasonable. That's pretty, it's good. It'll give you time to get the right person in there and not any type of rush job. Also, an unspoken rule that is not technically one of these bulleted points was not getting a new tenant around income tax time. Because people going to get their income tax back. Oh, they have money then, baby. They got time to make fake pay stubs, all type of stuff. And they going to give you their tax money. Because I did it in March. So I don't want to do around tax return time anymore. Because, they get their tax refund. And that's all the money you getting. You'll never see a dime from their job. Try not to rent out your place around tax season time. Hopefully you could do it like first of the year, summertime, wintertime, just not that tax time where people are just using all their tax money to move in, give you whatever deposit you want, get in there, and then not pay anything additionally. All right, number 4, negotiate a longer lease, because the less time you have people moving in and out will hopefully be the less wear and tear on your property that people are moving large furniture in and out of the home. So negotiate a longer lease if at all possible. I want to start negotiating for a new tenant if God blesses me to be able to rent it out in time, because I only have so long before I can not be paying the mortgage and the rent and the daycare and the car, all that stuff. Negotiate a longer lease, like a 3-year lease, okay? 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7-year lease, okay? Number 5. That's number 4. File the proper notices right away. Like when they like, oh, I'm late on my rent. Okay, I got the late fee. Now the 3 days up for the late fee or whatever. Go ahead and file that notice to quit, which is either pay or I'm filing an eviction. Because there are certain timelines that have to be followed. And if you're dragging your feet on filing the paperwork, you're just taking longer to where you'll be able to get the tenant out or get paid. So do not care enough about their side story to pump the brakes on what you're supposed to be doing as a landlord. As a landlord, if they're not following the lease payment terms, they're not paying, they're not staying. So you need to go ahead and file your paperwork. File the proper notices. I will say, like, the first time they literally was trying to call my bluff, and it was like I told them that I had filed and I didn't, and they was just waiting. Like, oh, you filed. Okay, we'll just wait to pay. And they were just waiting, like, oh, we're going to wait on the court notice. We're going to wait on this. We're going to wait on that. If y'all don't pay me my money, so I think that was one of the months, because like I said, they was late like every month. That was one of the months where they did end up paying like one more month or something. They were already behind a month, like just a mess. But they are okay with waiting, just file your paperwork so you can get them out sooner, okay? I should have filed my paperwork a little more sooner. Don't do. All right, number 6. Don't be afraid of a Section 8 tenant. Getting the government to send you rent monthly is good. It's good. Get that money on time. Do not let people discourage you. Do not let people say, oh, they're going to tear up your house, this and that. Anybody could tear up your house. Anybody could, be a bad renter. But it's okay that you will get your money from the government on time. And, you still want to file your proper notices, etc. if you need to. But just having the government backing up their pay is really good for your bottom line. So try Section 8. you still want to vet those applications as well, to make sure that and I'll talk about that in a little bit, y'all. So I am certainly looking at my notes. Thank you. Let's see. Rent due date is number 7. So rent due date. If you can like make the rent due date not on the 1st with all the rest of the bills, that'll be good. If you can put it on the 28th of the month, meaning like, okay, it's January 28th, your rent for February is due. That means by the 3rd day, it'll probably be like the 1st of February. That means you gotta pay on time. You gotta pay on the 1st. You can't just be paying on like the 3rd, the 5th. You can't do it. If I'm able, I will change my due date. Like I said, I'm hoping to get a government paid tenant, and then I wouldn't have to I don't know if they will like let me change the due date for that, but for like whenever possible, I will change the rental due date to a different date other than the 1st, the 28th of the month, the 15th of the month, and you pay your full portion. Okay, I would do that. You can also like experiment with like different flex options where the person pays half on a certain day and then half on another day. And that can be put into the lease. I think that's a good idea too. So you can make sure like, oh yeah, you got to pay your rent twice a month. You got to pay half on the 15th, or that's gonna be considered a late fee, and then the other half on this day. Now it gets a little tricky because people have different pay schedules, and they might be like one of them people they get paid like once a month, or they get paid like semi-monthly on certain days. You can work with your tenant on that. Figure that out with them. If they get paid once a month and they had to pay half on this day, half on that day, I don't see anything wrong with that. Like, you was gonna pay your rent anyway, right? All right. We're all on the same page. All right. Number 8, including utilities. I included utilities as a separate bill for my tenants. So I kept everything on in my name and I paid for them, so to speak. Yeah, I do not recommend. If you have to, okay. If you find, I mean, if you are gonna do it, include it in the rent payment. Which for me, I was like literally calculating, okay, what was the like gas light bill for the month, which was always the same because I had it on like budget billing. But I was calculating like what the bill was for each month, and however it varied, I would vary, so it's $5 cheaper, $5 cheaper for you, I would just, if you're gonna include the utilities with the rent, go ahead and include it as a flat fee in the rent, but don't, I don't recommend including utilities in the rent, because if they don't pay, then it's messing up your credit, your name once again. All right, so number 9, check eviction filings. So you have the person's name, check their eviction filings. Yes, they could be using a different name. Like, I think the person that I rented from, like, I think it was actually like a whole nother person. So weird, so strange. I don't know why people live their lives like that, but some people do. But once you get the name of the person on application, check your eviction filings, court eviction filings. It could be a simple search depending on where you're at, but it's definitely worth it. Number 10. I made the mistake of thinking that somebody else would perform the due diligence of everything for me. I ain't got to do nothing. Oh, you got it. Don't do that. Don't do that. Like, even like, because I did have a real estate agent helping me like find a tenant. So you helped me find a tenant, but did you do any like extra background checks on this person? The regular background checks and stuff was done. However, things like the next few on my list, like the previous landlord was not spoken to. Simple, easy. You can find out, why is the person moving? Do they owe you money? Were they a good tenant? Did they tear up your property? That's just something that they got to deal with. Like, I ain't talked to the prior landlord, so that's another one on the list. We'll just call that number 11. Don't think that somebody else is just gonna talk to the prior landlord on your behalf. Do it yourself. Also, not viewing where they currently live. Okay, this person lives and works somewhere, right? Have you seen it? Do you know what it look like? Is it dirty? On the inside, on the outside? Is it unkempt? Where they currently live, how does it look? You can do an inspection. You can drive by. You do a drive by. All the above, and yeah, find out how they currently living. Are they living with somebody? Are they responsible? Do you want them in your property? Is what you're trying to really, really figure out. Okay, a lot of people, this next one, a lot of people have said that they want to buy my house for me, like owner financing, meaning I guess I would essentially keep the mortgage in my name and they will like just assume it. Well, you can work out your own terms with that. You could try to allow that because you don't know if the person gonna be able to finish paying it out and then you sold your house or not. But when you're doing that, you want to get a big down payment up front. So they could say, hey, I want to buy your house from you. You could let them rent for a number of years with an option to buy after 3 years, after 5 years or something, starting with a large down payment from them. So then they can get you $10,000 up front, $20,000, however much you charge. And then you kind of like go from there as far as, maybe then they'll make the regular monthly payments and, y'all work out all the kinks and details. That's something else that you can try, that I would try. I'm on the last two, y'all. So make sure, number 14, make sure that the person is following HOA rules. You could do that by driving by your property because my people, they was like leaving this random grill and like the trash can all in the front. Why? You can't do that. HOA was like sending me notices of like and pictures of it. If I would drove by, I would have knew that. I could have sent them a little message since they apparently must have been unaware. Yeah, definitely. Make sure that the person is following the HOA rules. And then last but not least, number 15, try using a property manager. Now, the property manager will probably take like 10-20%. I would say they'll take between, first of all, they don't take whatever you let them take. But find you one that takes the amount that you want them to take, okay? They could be taking 10%, 5%, 20%, 30%, 50%, whatever y'all work out. They'll take it out the rent and they'll manage the property. They'll file the property notices for you and whatever other details that y'all work out. I don't know what all they do aside from they'll do what y'all negotiate for them to do, and then you have to pay accordingly. I would try a property manager for sure, because it was actually stressful constantly talking to this tenant who constantly didn't want to pay, constantly came up with excuses, constantly almost seemed like they just wanted me to wait till next income tax time for them to get another big refund and then like catch up, which is very strange to me. All right. And then because at some point they couldn't pay little by little, like they were trying to like nickel and dime and do, they couldn't do that because whenever you file an eviction, you can't accept any more payments. Okay. So I hope that this was helpful. You can learn from me so that you don't have to make the same mistakes. Okay. Let's pray that I get a new tenant in time before I cannot afford to pay these two places anymore. And let's hope that It's a good situation, and that y'all are able to learn from these little mistakes. They happen every day. Oh yeah, y'all like and subscribe. We get these subscribers up. Like and subscribe, share. Thank you.